Hi everyone. There are two nations, two high-speed rail projects, and radically different outcomes. We are going to explore one of the most fascinating infrastructure stories in our time, especially if you are Indonesian. Indonesia has completed a 142-kilometer high-speed rail line in just 8 years for $7.3 billion. Meanwhile, California spent 15 years and over $100 billion of an incomplete 800-kilometer system with only 50 kilometers that actually operational. Guys, this isn't just the story about trains. This is the case study in governance, execution, and also the fundamental question. Why did a developing nation succeed where one of the wealthiest states in the world failed? The answer is not about money. It's about it's not about even technology, and it's about something much more fundamental. This is about how decisions get made and how quickly they get executed. Okay, let's continue. The numbers always honest. So let's start with numbers. California High-Speed Rail project costs approximately $200 million per kilometer. How about Indonesia? Just $51 million per kilometer. That's almost four times more expensive for a project that doesn't even work yet. But here is where it gets really interesting. California's cost overrun was 203%. They start with a $33 billion budget and it ballooned to over 100 billion. Indonesia's cost overrun just 33% from 5.5 billion to 7.3 billion. Now you might think, well, California's project is bigger, so of course it costs more. But here's the thing. California's numbers are based on incomplete construction. They have only built about 50 kilometers. Indonesia's numbers, that's for a fully operational system, all 142 kilometers running today. So, what explains this massive cost gap? Where did California's money actually go? That's what we are about to see. Okay, so where is California's money actually went? Let's break it down. Maybe it can reveal everything. In California, land acquisition alone costs it to $10 billion. That's 20% of the original budget just to buy the land. Environmental review, another 5 to 7 billion. Legal battles and litigation, about 2 until $3 billion. Construction itself, it took 60 until 70 billion. Administrative overhead, 10 to 15 billion, and financing costs another 5 to 10 billions. So here is the brutal truth. California allocated nearly half its budget, 50% around that, the process that happened before the construction even began, then acquisition, environmental review, and also the legal battles. All of that before they could even start building. Now look at Indonesia. Land acquisition, $500 million, just 7%. Environmental review, 300 million. It's 4%. Construction, $5.5 billion. That's 75% of the budget going directly to building. Technology transfer, 100 million. Administrative cost, it's just 200 million. The contrast is stark. California spent nearly half its money on process. Indonesia spent three-quarters of its money on construction. This fundamental difference in capital allocation explains so much the efficiency gap. California was paying for democracy, for the due process, for stakeholder engagement, while Indonesia was paying for corporate, steel, and also trains. And the question is, which approach actually delivered? Okay, let's talk about the governance model, the speed versus the process itself, the heart, how decisions get made. California operates a democratic, a multi-stakeholder model. For any major decision, the timeline is 2 until 5 years. You need approval from the state legislature, federal agencies, local governments, environmental group, property owners, etc. The process involves the public hearings, the CK environmental review, legislative approval, and sometimes even voter referendums. The accountability is high here. There is a transparency, multiple oversight bodies, but flexibility, it's low. Any change require complete reapproval, start over, and do it again. Indonesia, it's centralized, executive driven. Decision timeline 3 until 6 months. The stakeholders are the president, ministry, state enterprise, and the China's partner. The process, executive decisions, ministry approval, streamline every review. Accountability, of course, it's lower. But Indonesia have a lower transparency but a faster execution. The flexibility, it's high. They can adapt rapidly to challenge. So here's the math. Indonesia's centralized model enabled decision for until 10 times the speed of California's consensus-based approach. The trade-off is clear. California prioritizes stakeholder input and democratic accountability. Indonesia prioritizes delivery speed and executive authority. And here is what's fascinating: both approaches have merit. California's process ensures everyone has a voice. Indonesia's process ensures things actually get built. The question is, which do you value more, fact process or the working train? Okay, how about the timeline? Yeah, if we are talking about the timeline, this is where the story really comes together. From 2008 until 2012, California was in the planning phase. Proposition 1A was approved, federal grants were secured, environmental reviews began. Post-selection debated, debated for 4 years, just planning. In 2015, Indonesia launched project announced, feasibility study complete, groundbreaking ceremony held, construction begins, all in 1 year. From 2015 until 19, California was still dealing with delays. Limited construction happened. Cost estimates were revised to $77 billion. Government used some help make this good for more years with a minimal progress. From 2000, from 2017 until the 22, Indonesia building that major construction phase. Even the COVID hit, they managed the delay. The testing phase, trial run still conduct, 5 years, actual progress. By 2023, Indonesia have a different outcomes. California only 50 kilometers complete, full project still uncertain until now, and Indonesia have 142 kilometers operational. The commercial service already begins by now. So here's the statistics. Indonesia complete its entire project in 53% of California's elapsed time, despite starting 7 years later. But the construction rate differential is more dramatic. Indonesia built at 18 20 kilometers per year, while California managed to 3 until 5 kilometers annually. That's around 4 to 6 times difference in construction speed, not because of technology, not because of money, because of the process, because of the governance, because of the ability to make decisions and execute the plan. Okay, so what's about the regulation? This is where California's project really broke down. California faced what I call a regulatory gauntlet. The weekend environmental review take 2 until 4 years. The federal native process another 1 to 2 years. Local city and county permits that varies, but it can take years. Prevailing anyway, and also union agreement also the challenge. Not to mention about the extensive FRA safety standards and also mandatory public comment periods. The total timeline to execute that is 3 until 6 years minimum just to get the permission to start building. Indonesia took a streamlined approach. Environmental impact assessment, 6 to 12 months. Land acquisition, it's expedited for national project. Network standards, more flexible. Safety standard, as long as international standards adopt, it can be approved, and public input, it limited to minimum. So the timeline, it only takes 1 until 2 years maximum. The regulatory gap, it takes around 3 until 4 times the advantage for Indonesia. But I want to be clear here, California's extensive review process are designed to ensure accountability and also the environmental protection. That's not a bad thing at all, but they become a bottleneck that fundamentally undermine the project's viability itself. Indonesia accepted high regulatory risk in exchange for execution speed. They made a trade-off. They have a faster approval, but less process, less stakeholder input, but more progress. And here's the question: which approach serves public better? The perfect process that never deliver, or good enough process that actually build infrastructure? Yeah, of course I don't have a definitive answer, but I'm Indonesian and I know which one is the working trend, and the trend is really good. So yeah, this is the hidden variable that most people miss: political will and also the consistency. California's political situation, we can say it a mess. Multiple governors with shifting priorities, critical funding instability. Governors first Nager championed the project initially, then continued by Governor Brown provide a moderate support but with growing skepticism, and the government used some scaled back ambition significantly. Public opinion already shaped from initially positive to deeply divided. The project became a political football rather than a protected infrastructure investment. Every time leadership changed, the project had to be rejustified. Every budget cycle, funding was uncertain. Every election, the project future was in question. Indonesia's situation was completely different. The President Jokowi maintained the consistent support throughout his administration until it moved to Prabowo's administration. Infrastructure modernization was designed as a national priority. It is has the same political leadership guide the project from a conception to completion. This eliminate the policy discontinuity that plagued California. There was no re-justification, no funding uncertainty, no political football. Public opinion remained generally positive despite some concerns, but more importantly, the political commitment never wavered. And here is what's crucial. Infrastructure projects take years. They span multiple election cycles. They require a long-term commitment. California couldn't provide that. Indonesia could. This isn't when the political system is better. It's about the consistency, about the commitment, about the ability to see the project through, regardless of who is in charge. And California's democracy is vibrant, but it's also volatile. Indonesia's system is more centralized, but it's also more stable. For infrastructure projects, stability matters more than you might think. So, what's the lesson that we can get from here? Indonesia made a trade-off. They chose speed and execution over perfect stakeholder consensus. They accepted maintenance dependency on China's technology, but they delivered a working system that demonstrated proof of concept and generated immediate economic benefits. California made a different trade-off. They chose process perfection and democratic accountability over the delivery speed. They maintain independence but fail to deliver infrastructure. They create extensive planning documentation without operational results. And here is the irony. A developing nation with limited resources succeeded where a wealthy state with abundant capital failed, not due to money, not due to technology, but due to governance structure, political will, and decision-making speed. Sometimes, yeah, good enough delivered today with perfect promise tomorrow. For the infrastructure project, the lessons are clear. I'm done planning phases, consistent political commitment, balanced stakeholder, equipment meaningful but not endless, fast delivery approaches, and experience of manageable risk. The perfect project that never gets built creates zero value. The imperfect project that operates creates immediate economic return and proof expansion feasibility. Indonesia has a working trend. California has planning documents. One of these things is not like the other. No, I'm not saying Indonesia's approach is perfect. There are trade-offs, less transparency, less stakeholder input, technology dependency, and also maintenance challenge ahead for Indonesia. But here's what I'm saying. Infrastructure requires trade-off. The question isn't whether to make them. The question is which ones to make. Indonesia choose execution, California choose process. Only one has a trend. And for anyone thinking about infrastructure, about project, about getting things done, this case is a masterclass. Sometimes you need to build not just a plan, not just perfect, but actually build. Indonesia, my country, already built this California plan. The results speak for themselves. Okay, thanks for watching. I know it's biased because I'm Indonesia, but if you think this analysis is valuable, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comment which approach do you think serve the public better, the perfect process or the working trend. Okay, last but not least, see you another time, everyone.